Hello and welcome to the Thursday, January 29th, 2026 edition of the SANS Internet Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich, recording today from Jacksonville, Florida. And this episode is brought to you by the SANS.edu undergraduate certificate program in cybersecurity fundamentals. Last week, Oracle published its quality critical patch update, and with that, we also got a patch for WebLogic. That patch, I think I pointed out when it was released, wasn't so far noteworthy that, first of all, WebLogic has been exploited many times in the past, and secondly, it got a CVSS score of 10, so a perfect score here for possible exploit attractiveness, I guess I should say, because compromising WebLogic using this particular vulnerability could lead to a complete system compromise. So with an exploit like this, I'm usually periodically kind of trying to find any exploit attempts in our honeypot logs, and did see one in our logs, but this particular exploit attempt didn't really make much sense. It had sort of all the parts that you may expect in an exploit like this, but was highly unlikely that, the vulnerability was as trivial as suggested by this exploit. So doing a little bit further digging, apparently at the time when the vulnerability was disclosed by Oracle, someone published a GitHub repository with what looks like AI-generated exploit that apparently doesn't work at all. And we are now seeing this exploit being used against basically arbitrary hosts. It's not just being sent against WebLogic, but really just random hosts. And I guess to some extent, nice if attackers are wasting their time with AI slop like this. But on the other hand, what's really happening here is that both defenders and attackers are using AI, trying to speed up their development process, either of signatures or of attack scripts like what we saw here. And the result is, that sometimes either side wastes time. Now, in this case, the attacker sort of has the advantage that all they do is waste time. If you're relying on AI-generated signatures with the same quality, then, of course, you're potentially opening yourself up to real exploits. And reading some of the write-ups that were sort of published back when the exploit was released, this fake exploit, it looks like a number of security companies actually use that sort of as a potential template for their defensive actions and signatures. So definitely be a bit careful with this. And Fortinet updated its advisory for the single sign-on vulnerability. They start rolling out patches now. Looks like right now they're rolling them only out for the 7.4 version of FortiAnalyzer Manager and OS. Other patches are supposed to be available shortly. Also, nothing yet for FortiWeb, but keep watching it, and I would expect sort of by the end of the week, we probably will have most of the patches for these different vulnerable versions. I'll leave it up to you if you want to then be brave and turn single sign-on on again, or if you just want to try to do without it. Remember, this is the second time that we sort of had this fire drill with the single sign-on feature. And yes, it's time to patch your SolarWinds Web Helpdesk again. This time, 3 different security vulnerabilities, one sort of a variation of stuff that has been patched before. But the end effect is that an unauthenticated attacker will be able to gain full remote code execution on your Web Helpdesk instance. At the core of it, it's a deserialization vulnerability that allows for the code execution now to be able to exploit this vulnerability. You can take advantage of static sort of guest or example credentials that are being set up as you are creating your Web Helpdesk instance. And then there's also a security protection bypass that will essentially allow you to bypass some of the filters that have been added in the past to prevent exploitation of these type of deserialization of vulnerabilities. So definitely something that you must patch. Horizon 3 has published a blog post, and I'll link to it in the show notes, that has quite a bit of detail short of proof of concept for this particular vulnerability. But they did release, for example, a scanner that you can use to check if you're vulnerable, and also indicators of compromise that you may see in your logs to show that exploit attempts have happened. Well, in addition to this, there are a couple other things that we don't really have time to cover. N8N vulnerabilities. We also do have another vulnerability in Google Chrome that has been patched, and a critical sandbox escape vulnerability in VM2. So for the Node.js coders here, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.